Hello guys. Well, this music though. uh, I was considering to make. Oh, we're in the jungle now, aren't we? I was considering to make this. I'm still not sure, basically, about like for sure about my Enneagram type. I know that Enneagram 4s tend to go to being a 2 in stress, which I could see throughout my life. I think I am a 4 mainly, or a 5. I've been considering even since I found out about MBTI and Enneagram. Intuitively, the INFJ felt completely right, and also the 4 and 5, but I'm not sure, even to this day, which order, because I can really relate to being both. And I've been yesterday like 2-3 hours watching videos, discerning between the two. I still feel like when I hear those words, even good fucking videos, I just can't be like, this is more me than the other. It feels very the same there somehow. And I also see a lot of 9 in me, but not in the expression of when I'm speaking and such, but I think 9, I could be as a tri-type, I think 4, 5, 9 or 5, 4, 9. 2 is not impossible, but I have to be the most introverted, not having to see people often too in the world and history of humanity in that case, but I really feel a lot of the 2 stuff as well, but that perhaps is in stress or in worry and such, as has probably been the case in my life. But yeah, let's use some extroverted thinking and be a bit efficient for once, and follow the schedule and procedure. Do this, you're a robot. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's start the test. Well, it's already up here. Let's see if we can have some not so stimulating music. Let's see, and also for the fun of it, and also perhaps it could help me, let me know what you think I am from what you have seen on my channel thus far. Of course, we don't see the fullness of expression of anyone in YouTube videos, but I'm trying to be as much as I naturally am even in these videos, so I guess that's something. But, you know, typically people are like, yeah, you know me, my character from videos. Like, no, we don't know the real you at all. Many people put on a mask and show certain sides of themselves. You don't see them in their relationships and the work and how they're feeling after they close off the video, you know, all of that stuff. But I would like to have your input from you guys, what you pick up on, and let's see what we get on this test. I strive for perfection. I wish I didn't have introverted thinking sometimes when doing these kind of things. It's not as easy. I strive for perfection. I've been a massive perfectionist most of my life, so not as much anymore. And I could talk about the perfection thing for like 5 to 10 minutes, but that's not. It depends on. I work hard to be helpful to others. In essence, even though I spend a lot of time alone, what I really do spend time on is for the benefit of other human beings, big time. Not other human beings, but nature and animals as well. It is important to me that other people like me. No, I'm kidding. I think the extroverted feeling in INFJs, and also when you look at the Enneagram 2 and 4 wants to feel like they are validated for their existence, being as they are, being authentic and different. So there's some, part of me is like, really is like this. It really doesn't matter if they like me or not, but very like the child Jonas do care and want to be seen, heard, and felt and respected as I am. And maybe it's even here, in the shadow. It's perhaps, but yeah. It is important to me. This is like a 2. It is important to me, or 3 for that matter, or 1. It is important to me to achieve great things. Great things to me is not the same as great things to most people. And achieve, I have a different relationship to the word achieve. And in context, putting these two together is not, even if I answer this truthfully from what it means to me, it's not gonna matter. That's not what they're asking for in the test. So it's always tricky for me to do tests because it's so easy to see what they're asking for and so hard to explain why that is. Yeah, it's important to me. Sure, I want to achieve great things, but it's not the same things, and I don't see achievement and success, for example, in the same way that most people do. There are like 30 questions maybe. I probably can't be this like this if I want to have a short video for once. I make more significant contributions than the average person. That's so fucking... More significant. Yes, probably to me, significant, no doubt, than the average person. That's accurate 100%, but is it more like all the time and be... yes, what I do share in the essence of what I care about in this life and how it affects other people, I do think it's more significant than the standard average thing, even though that sounds very... Yeah, I feel my emotions very deeply. I do, and it's intense, always been, and there's never a break from it, but even then I feel like if I'm going into gaming, or I was just gonna say playing guitar, but then again, that's like anything, learning or whatever, I still feel a lot all the time. I'm always aware of my feelings and emotions, even though I'm not an extra introverted feeler like an INFP or ISFP. They're typically mentioned as the dominant feelers. But if you're like this, probably suggests an Enneagram 4. And that's, it's just so clear. I can not go without emotions, basically. It's just that it's not expressed in the same way, like I'm feeling this right now because of this and that. I'm not so sure of my workings. It's too much to it to be sure and identified with an asset. So that's, yeah. I don't want to pretend what it feels like for me, like that I know the exact reasons of why I feel this and blah blah blah. I want to reflect on it and feel into it, but it's not like we know all the thought process and all the things making up. I don't want to feel disingenuous to me when someone is too sure of themselves, whether it's being emotionally or practically or whatever. Like, the essence of things, we really don't know a single fucking thing as human beings. We think we know a whole lot, but we don't have the whole essentials going for us unless we wake up. I have a sense that other people will never truly understand me. I think some do understand me, but a limited understanding. And there's been a fear of fear or sadness in my life that people will have not, and that in the future they will not see the real me other than the projection and the picture they have of me in their mind based on experience and limited perception and connection, for that matter, because most friendships and family dynamics and work blah blah blah, it's not really that you know the other human being. It's very rare, and that's what I'm looking for. That's the only fucking thing that matters in human relationships to me. The rest is just confusion, waste of time, that people are addiction to others instead of actually knowing one another. So to me, I really never felt understood, but I do. It also says will never, so that implies a possible future. This would be the case before. Maybe at this point I've felt a few experiences that people really feel into what I am, and they have truly, I felt so blessed and treasured when it happened, that someone felt or saw into my real being, so to say, and that was very important or beautiful and healing for me. So I don't think never, but I think it's rare, and I think it has to take a certain level of intelligence and love for life in order to really know me. You cannot know me otherwise from just the intellect or the picture you have of me. Even if you're a close friend or a family member, it's not enough for me to feel understood, or that's how I meet others too. It's not enough for me to know your work and your struggles and everything. That's not who you fucking are. That's just the happenings, the comings and goings of things. I want to see and be with the soul that you are. And you're good as you are already. I think deeply about things. Probably, I'm not sure how many times I've even heard this, and I haven't even showcased jack shit because people think it's too deep and intense already most of the time, and they haven't delved as deep into things as I have, and I naturally do just in a normal conversation. A normal conversation for me is like, oh, that's so deep, I never talked to someone like this before, when people meet me, and for me it's just, it's nothing at all, it's just a normal process. I'm prepared for any disaster. I wouldn't say I'm prepared, but I've been afraid throughout my life experience. Always with Enneagram, you want to look at your almost basics throughout your life. Not your highs, not your lows, but where have you been as a standard average. I'm not prepared for a disaster, but I could see possible outcomes and what could happen, this and that. So in that way prepared, but not prepared in actual physicality to handle it if it happens, but to see what could go very wrong. And I've been considering the background of PTSD, I've definitely been prepared for disaster since I was a very young child. So sure, but it depends on how you. What do you mean by these words? What are the implications? You know, there's so many angles to things, and it depends on how. That's why these kind of tests are pretty hard for me to do in a convenient way, in the fast-paced, modern 2020 humanity addicted to stimulation, being fast, and every video should be 3 minutes long and no in-depth of anything, just cut and make everything look pretty and then send it out to hope to get all the likes in the world. That's pretty much the way of people today, and they don't realize that they are socially conditioned to actually miss out on life and each other. So there's no need to stress everything and let people talk as they do, and you don't need to cut and fix everything, making it look perfect. Perfection. It's important to me to avoid pain and suffering at all times. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. What are they really saying? No, it's not important to me to avoid suffering and pain. I would say I'm rather embracing it and can see the beauty of it and what can come as the fruit of suffering and pain is often wisdom and understanding and a great love and appreciation for life and other beings. So no, I wouldn't say that it's important to me to avoid it, but of course I do have a lot of pain physically, and I've struggled a lot with health throughout my life in various ways. So of course the physical being that has sense perceptions and as a mind, well, I won't go into all the details there. Let's see. Obviously we want to avoid pain as human beings, but I don't, in the way they are probably pointing to it here, not in that way here. I seek out experiences that I know will make me feel happy or excited. That's such a 7. I do too. Big time, but I'm not. I really do, but these fucking questions, man. It's not questions, it's statements. Statements. I see the positive in every situation. That can typically be ignorance and that you're scared, so you have to change it in your mind. So if that's not what's actually happening in the moment that you're reacting, that you have a positive thing, then you're actually manipulating the thing. Unless you're doing it consciously, it's just manipulation. So it depends. I can see the positive in For example, I had a very traumatizing experience this summer, meeting a psychopath who was manipulating in our friendship group. That was very traumatizing, but I could see the positive in the situation, even upon leaving, just a couple of minutes after ending the interaction, after several days spent together. I can see the positive in every situation, sure, but I know that positive thinkers are often scared of seeing things as they are and try to. That's I feel like this is a very much a 9 thing as well, and of course I'm just sharing my mind process here with you guys. I'm not judging the 9, I'm not judging the 4 or the 5 or this or that or the other. So that's part of my natural expression too, that we should be able to allow for our differences and our thought process to be shared, instead of, oh, he said something I don't agree with, that's a dislike, I don't like this person. We have to grow up. I see the positive in every situation. Every situation, really? I do nowadays, big time. In the past I was more absolutely not, but now I've been blessed with some fucking grace or whatever, so I can see it even in the deepest of suffering, and it's very beautiful. I love it. I really love this, but I know how this typically plays out for people, and that's not so gracious. It's mostly the ego filter trying to protect the inner child for people, trying to see the positive. Depends if it's fake positive thinking or natural. I am not afraid to tell someone when I think they're wrong. Depends, all this. It's hard for me to do this test, as you notice. It's not hard for me, obviously, it's very easy, but I know it's not the explaining why I don't agree with just filling it out, because there's so many nuances to it, there's so much more to it, and I feel like a test can never really bring that to fruition and understanding of the people. It should just be convenient and easy and click, click, click. I'm not afraid to tell someone. I am not afraid to tell someone when I think they're wrong, but I don't always choose to do it because it's not always the right time to do it, so it takes some discernment. And if depending on the dynamic I have with the people and the situation, the context of the given situation in the moment, when someone is when I think they're wrong, I don't always say it. If it's absolutely necessary, I will absolutely do it. Otherwise, I'll let people think what they do, but sometimes I do intervene and say whatever. If I feel comfortable, and it's not mainly me being comfortable, so it comes back to fear. I don't want other people to be uncomfortable or feel like it's fine if they're uncomfortable, but I don't want them to feel like I'm judging them because I don't agree with them. Some people take it very personally, so I don't always say something. Even though I have nothing against that, they are in the wrong, or I perceive them being wrong. It's not a problem, but other people are like, they think I'm wrong, and now they think this of me, and I don't want them to go into panic like that, like people typically do, but they don't show it, many of them. I'll let other people make the decisions. It depends what the group, the situation, what is the group, what is the context. I like to make my decisions for myself. If we're in a group, I want to, for the benefit of all, and if I am somewhat on the same side or not really even caring about two options, it doesn't matter which one. I go with the group thing, it really doesn't matter, because the experience that can come out of it is a shared thing, and I don't know which one of like two decisions of going biking in the forest or skiing would be the best. And if I don't have a certain bias or preference in the moment, I don't need to make the decision. If I'm open for both, is it natural, neutral? How long have we gone? I don't think 19 minutes. Okay, let's see what we get if I don't explain all the workings, and I'm not even close to explain all the workings, but I'm gonna try to do it like most people do these things now. Let's see if I even can try to be a bit plastic. I appreciate having rules that people are expect. No. if it's basic rules of law, certain things, don't kill others, blah blah blah. Sure. I'm concerned about security more than. I think I am self-preservational about from the 3 instincts, so that's probably true. But not more than anything else, absolutely not. Unless we can let go of the need and addiction to security, we can never truly actually live. And I'm sorry if I'm breaking someone's belief systems there, but you can never come to life if you're clinging on to security. It's fine, it's good. I also have certain attachment to security still, sometimes, but absolutely not more than anything else. Certain other things. I think a lot about what will happen in the future. I think a lot about. Yes, probably more than most people. I don't fit in with ordinary. Okay, that was very easy. Okay, we found an easy one. There's really a good reason for changing how things are. I always finish my chores. I don't even think about these kind of things. No, sometimes it doesn't matter. I'm always trying to be a better person. I'm not a person to begin with, no one is, but sure, it's fine. Person means persona. Persona goes back to the concept of a mask. The mask can never be who you are. That's a image you're portraying, like an actor. You're not a person. But yes, I've been a lot for personal development and trying to be better all my life now. Like this, not inefficiency, inadequacy, sense of inadequacy or not being good enough kind of thing. So sure, if we wanna remain with the concept of being a person, yes, in the typical sense, absolutely. Every day. Let's not make it more complicated. It's not even complicated. I'm trying to make it easier for people, but people are complicated and they don't want to leave that little safe closet. I check carefully for mistakes and errors. Depends on what it's about. But I'm very much like that in people's logic and ethics and errors in important matters. So yes. But not in some things I don't care at all. So some things doesn't really have that weight as we think they do in life. I like to be around people who I can help. People should be able to help themselves at some point. That's my goal about helping people or guiding people. That they should be empowered enough to take care of themselves with the help of others, but not depending on me or someone else. That's ridiculous. At least for a longer period of time. It's like no giving and taking or sharing of true experience there. That's just typical addiction. I like to be around people. If I can help. I don't really get the question. I love helping people. And yet I answer like this because it's not. Yeah. I like to feel that I'm an important person in my I really think, yeah, I think my ego does like that, like there's a significance to one's presence that you're creating a great experience or having a good impact on their life. So yeah, I think, yeah, I feel like that's true. Maybe here. It's important to me to be successful. Successful in my way, yes, but I know they are asking for it in like a Enneagram 3 type of way, and not in a. The only success in life is. Success is measured only by how happy are you. How happy, how blissful are you in life. It doesn't matter if you have 15 cars and 15 women in your whatever. It's ugly anyway. But I really don't care for that whatsoever or climbing the ladder of being better than someone else. Success is only linked to how happy are you, then you're successful. How healthy are you, how good are you feeling. So yes, it's important to me to be successful and conscious, aware, not too ignorant, arrogant and prideful. But this is gonna give more towards a hint of 3ness, so maybe I should just be for the sense of lacking intelligence of the test makers and all that stuff. Let's make it like this. The organizations I belong to would not function well without me. I don't belong to an organizations, and I hope no one identifies with their organizations. That's ridiculous. And I'm not saying that as a judgment. I'm very, very aware of what I'm saying. But your natural sense of identity of being has nothing to do with any social group or organization to do. You're before all the comings and goings in life. Observe, self-inquire, and you'll see that why I'm answering things the way I do. Seeing through the game of the matrix, if you will. Everyone can do it if they allow themselves to. I often feel overtaken by... I think this has happened a lot in my life, maybe even here. Not as much anymore, but since this is a long-term thing, we should like the general pattern, as I mentioned in the start of the video. This has caused me to like try to take extroverted sensing, inferior function of the INFJ, breaks of that with music, some type of stimuli, going to the gym, not anymore, the last part there, playing video games to have a break from the emotions, if so to say. Even though I wouldn't say that's even possible, but not for me. Unless I'm meditative and observing of what's going on. But my general life experience, yes. I have always felt different from others. That was a very easy question. I like the 2 easy questions so far. I like to analyze things from every angle. Oh my fucking god, yes. 2. Yes. This is a good test now. Now my bias is complete. I always have a plan for what I would go. I always have a plan for what I would do if things go wrong. Not sure that I have a plan, but trying to, yeah. I avoid situations that bring up negative. I think that's very natural for most people to do when they're in the ego personal state, which 99.999% of people are. So that's not a weird thing. People do this naturally. Animals trying to not have negative experiences either. And in our case, being very conscious of our feelings, or well, we can be. Many people are unconscious of their feelings. And that's usually not a good sign. Because it's natural to have feelings, good or bad. I avoid situations. I don't avoid them, but if it depends on the situation. Is it pro-life, or is it just an unconscious choice to go about doing something that I know will showcase negative or bring up negative feelings. That's just not a wise choice to do. So it depends on how you mean here. I seek excitement. I think that's a very 7 question, and I can relate to the 7 a lot, by the way, too. Just not my... It's so interesting, because I have ENFP unconscious, and ENFPs are typically 7s. And I do seek excitement, big time, but people might mean something else with excitement. People have different experiences, and relationships are different words. Yes, I think I do. Is it one more page after this? Oh my god! Oh my god, there's so many questions! And that was... Okay, let's do it like normal people. Let's see if it's fucking possible to do this. Are you ready? Okay. I'm good at seeing the bright side of things. Let's see where the camera is at so we can actually see where would be the best placement. I'm not sure how to do this during... Okay, I'm here now. That should... Maybe here? Maybe I've been blocking the test for a while. I'm sitting like a... Oh god. I'm good at seeing the bright side of things when others complain. Yes and no. I can also be in the past be both of that. But yeah, I don't hesitate to call people out when they're behaving badly. I go along with what other people want. I could talk so many minutes about this before coming to an answer. But a lot, if it's nothing wrong and I want to do it too, yes. Otherwise, no. People should follow the rules instead of doing what they're feeling like doing. There are no fucking rules, shut up. I seek out relationship that offers me some type of protection. I think we all do. I think that's unavoidable on an unconscious primal level. So sure, but I don't seek out relationships. I can clearly visualize what could happen in the future. No one can. I just want to lay this down. No one can. You don't have a single clue what's gonna happen in 10 minutes if you're breathing, if you're doing this or that or the other. So we can visualize, but, and of course it doesn't say what will happen, but what could happen. And that I agree with, as an NI dominant personality, ego, INFJ, of course. So I have a strong visualization process thing going, but that doesn't mean that it's always correct and I have the whole picture at all. Average people often find me a bit weird. Yes. Not that someone came to me like, hey, you're a bit weird, but I can feel that. Not from everyone. Some people just like you, some people think you're a bit weird, and some people are intimidated by the openness and expression of emotion and insight, and not being the typical person just sitting there talking about their job or what they're gonna do when they're finally stop working when they're 65. People are afraid of really having real conversations. Many people, and that's very boring. I like to do things as I have always done them. I don't like to do them that way, and I think living in the past is bullshit if you don't take use of knowledge and awareness of what you experienced. Many people cling to it too much, and I probably have too. I like to do things as I've always done them. Some things have a certain... I don't like to do them that way, but it can be convenient, but I don't live for convenience. I persist until a task is done. I'm very much like that when I'm into something that really matters, but if it's any task, it doesn't matter whatsoever. But I'm very much like that. I want to have the closure of things. If I spend time on something, I want to finish it. I think that's very introvert intuition as well. I spend time trying to discover and correct my faults and weaknesses. Oh my god, more than most people. And when I say most, like pretty much all people, just about so. I hold myself to very high standards. It's pretty egoic to think you're entitled to this and that, or that you have a certain blah blah blah, but I think I do. I'm a natural caretaker. Yes, I think so. When I am with people, true caretaker, not like this is my work of doing this. Like it's natural to me. It's empathy. It's care for another being that's a part of you. So yes, of course, it should even be here. But this will bring us number 2 thing. So I want people to admire me. They really don't have to. But here's the thing: if people admire me for seeing what I really am in many of my, maybe not all, but many of my expressions, and they know these sides and they do admire me, I don't want that, but I really appreciate that, and I value and treasure that. It means a lot to me, but I don't want them to achieve, I don't want people to admire me just for the sake of it. But if they do, because they see certain sides or what I essentially am is of value, inspiring or comforting or whatever it might be that someone admires another being for, insightful or knowledgeable, which I've heard many times in many regards, whether it be intuitively or informational. I like it big time, but I don't want it, I don't crave it, but it's a bonus. So yeah, I want to achieve a lot in my life. Yes, I do, but not in a typical sense at all. If you were looking at my everyday life and my life in general, it would look on the outside for a very extroverted or physical guy or girl that I don't want to achieve a lot in my life, but they don't know the deeper processes of things because they're hiding from it. So, yes. If I'm honest, I feel that I'm a bit better than other people. I'm absolutely not better than other people. I might have better skill sets than other people in some things, but I'm also awfully much worse regarding other things. But there's no objective thing or even a subjective thing other than a full-on blasting ego that thinks you are better than other people. So I... And also saying inaccurate here would imply that... I'm not even gonna answer that question. Let's leave it neutral. I feel a deep sense of grief for what I have lost. Yes, this has been one of the heavier things in my life. Not as... I would probably put it here now, as of the last months and maybe a year or two. But it's been intensely severe and debilitating in my life. So much grief and sadness and lost opportunities, sickness, people that have died, blah blah blah, trauma. I'm an unusual sort of person. Yes. I'm so far not met anyone who's really like me, but I met some, for example, a few INFJs that reminded me of me, but you know, being exactly like me, of course that's not possible. We're all unique in that way, in the expression of what we are. But yeah, anyway. I take time to understand things more deeply. Not even close, don't even start. And that's been a burden, because most people don't fucking care, they just want the surface level bullshit. It is important for me. Okay. Oh, feelings. Enneagram 4. It's time to... It is important to me to be prepared for an emergency. Sure. Come on. I distract myself from any sad feelings that arise. I don't, but I have done it a lot, and still at the same time wanted to experience the feelings and blah blah blah. It's just been so intense and comes with a lot of body load, so sometimes, yes. I often make changes in my life when things get boring. I do, but in my own way. It might not look like it. I tend to be more optimistic. Much more optimistic in many ways. And not so optimistic when it comes to worldly, human conditioned ego bullshit going on in societies and how we are destroying this planet. That might be seemingly cynical for those who are not read up about anything or have no self-insight. So I can seem not so optimistic, but usually among people I'm maybe the most optimistic, so it's hard to... Can you make 2 X's on each question? I tell people what I think, even if it's hard to hear. My goal is to be here all the time. It doesn't matter if people can't handle their thoughts, feelings and emotions. It's not my responsibility, but I still feel like it is, and I don't want to hurt people. So sometimes I don't say everything perfectly as it is. Like I might feel into where they're at, which feels natural and authentic, and meet them there instead of saying it the first thing. Like it can sound a bit too harsh without so I do tell people what I think a big time though, so maybe not always as much as I want to, because I know people are sometimes a bit weak to handle differences of opinion, or if I whatever. Not weak. I'm not saying weak in that type of way. And that I'm sensitive to like criticism or whatever too. I have been at least, and I still think I have the triggers for it. Depending on how it's said and what it is about. If it's thoughtful or insightful or whatever. If it's just said just to be spiteful, then you don't have me on your side. I would rather follow the group than push for what I want. Follow the group. I don't follow the group or a group. I push for what I want, but I do respect the group dynamic, and fuck it. I feel most comfortable in organizations with a clear hierarchy. It can be very good though, in many ways, so let's leave it neutral. I take measures to protect myself and my loved ones from harm. I've done that to awfully high extent in my life, to being here. So it really hurt my own life experience, and my investment and my time spent and emotion behind it over since I was very young has not been seen and appreciated and heard. So that's maybe both an FE neglect thing and also an Enneagram 4 statement, perhaps. Yeah. I make plans for many years into the future. Yeah, but they are not definitive plans, and it's just intuition guiding things, feeling right. It's not like I'm gonna do this in 15 years and the 10th of October we're gonna finish this project. Unique. I'm extraordinary and unique. I'm such an Enneagram 4, but I know that is the case, but I don't have that ego thing that I'm so special. I just like trying new methods and procedures. I don't, if there is any sense and logical sense and ethical and moral and spiritual sense to it. But if you're gonna do it just when something is working, I'm very open to new stuff, for sure. Procedure, I love it most of the time. If it's not based on stress or trying to, fuck it. I focus on my responsibilities and duties. What are my responsibilities and duties exactly? Is it based on society standards, what they and other people want you to be and do? Is that your true is that being responsible in life, really? Duties? Let's leave it neutral. I read books that help me. There is true responsibility for life, but if you're responsible to your social conditioning, that's a different story. That's not true responsibility, that's just fear. And caving into certain programs. People need to read some modern neuroscience and epigenetics to understand some stuff what I'm sharing, I guess. Anyway, I read books that help me be more. No book can help you be more productive in and of itself, so that's a pretty bad statement. Or better at what I do. Not necessarily books, but information building upon my. Sure, but nah, I do, yeah. I put a lot of pressure on myself to do things right. I've been too fucking hardcore on this one, but it came a point where I'm fluctuating between here instead, but it's not really true. I always want to do things like authentically. This is probably the right one. I take the initiative to, and then you can think, what is the right thing? It's just your own thing in your head. It's just a thought construct or something, a construct that has been. Fuck it. There's so many. Yeah. It's. I want to go deeper into things, but it's hard to do in a convenient, normal way. I take initiative to help other people and make their lives easier. I'm not sure if I'm taking initiative, but I'm doing it in my own. Here again, I'm doing it in my own way, but not the way that. I'm gonna I do this more than anyone I know, I think, but in a very subtle, behind the under the radar way. It means so much to me, the people I have in my life. They have no fucking clue. They probably do in some way, and but they have no clue how much my whole life I've been trying to make it easier or more soulful life, more blessed life for the people around me in my life. They wouldn't even know. I put in the effort to make a good impression on other people. I don't put any effort in doing that. If it's unconsciously happening, which I have noticed through my life that it has happened, like in the moment, spontaneously, like it's doing itself, sure, but no effort is put into it as far as I'm concerned. And yet, taking away the effort thing, good impression on other people. I still think it is. Not that I'm trying, not that I'm this and that. I still think it is somewhere around here. But I don't need. It's like. Fine. I set ambitious goals. What is your ambition? I'm an important member of my soul. I think so. There, here or here, I'm checking. When I say I'm scanning like a life thing and trying to find, I'm not just answering questions like on the top of my mind. I'm trying to really examine things. That's why this is taking an hour or something. Well, for many people it takes 10 minutes because they just do something and they won't get any accuracy at all. And then it's pointless to do it or invest your time or identify with it if you're not going to work with the real deal. That goes for everything in life, really. I'm an important member. I think that has been true. And remember, I didn't feel like that for a couple of years in a certain dynamic. But that was also a pretty shallow dynamic, which is typical in teenage years with people that was drinking and this and that. Then I didn't feel like an important member. But now I do, and that's beautiful. And not importanter than someone else, but I can feel that my presence is appreciated and meaningful to other people, and they do often mention it, so that I love that. I can describe my emotions in a lot of depth and detail. I can, but it's not in the. It's not like the FI introverted feeler users do it, and I feel like that's what they're pointing to here. And this is also Enneagram 4 question. I really can, but people have to give me time to give the context and work out to come to the core of things. Then it gets very deep and detailed, but most people don't have the patience, presence, or perseverance and insight themselves to be able to match that and be able to even sit through until you come to that depth, because people are scared of themselves and others. Probably here, but I didn't have a chance to develop that in life because I rarely can get to that point. I often feel like an outsider. Yes, and sometimes absolutely no, where I feel like I'm. Well, I find my mind to be very interesting. It's a very interesting place. I'm always aware of what can go wrong in a situation. Yes. I can see many possibilities, good and bad, outcomes and most likelies, and I have many ways of avoiding situations that get me down. That's probably true throughout my life experience. I'm always up for a new adventure. Always. If this body was functioning better, which it hasn't since many years, I am always up for adventure, whether it be mental, emotional, going out, trying new things. I am very much like that, and it feels very much like a 7 in that way, and I feel very much like an ENFP and 7 in my energetics almost, but am I living it out? Is it as conscious and present all the time as for like an ESFP or ENFP and a 7? No. But we have different definitions and relationships to adventure and new and this and that, so not always. Yeah. So I believe that things usually work out for the best. I think that's one of the most lame things without any basis of understanding whatsoever that has been going around being used for a long time. I think it's shallow, but it depends on who is saying it, how you're saying it, and what context. It can be beautiful too. I stand up for what I believe in, even if it upsets other people. Yes, but sometimes when I'm in physical interaction, I don't always state and stand up for everything to the intense extent of with an insight and reading up on things and the emotion behind it and ethics behind it. I don't want to go all the way because people are easily overwhelmed or feeling like they don't know what they're talking about, and I don't want to make people feel bad. So here, probably here. I'm very hardcore here, really, but there's been holding backs, if so to say. I let other people take the lead. I do sometimes if it feels natural, and they are the ones. It depends on the context. I can take the lead depending on what it is too. I dislike people who disrupt things by breaking the rules. How do you disrupt something by breaking something that doesn't exist? It's just a thought concept. Believed in, that's the key. Believed in, when you believe in it and you make it into your reality. So, if they disrupt things by hurting other people, destroying the system, cheating others on money or this and that in business or relationships, of course, if you see that as rules, fine. But if it's rules and laws and you have to be serious and you need to be this to be a real man in society and a woman should only do this, and no, I love depends, but definitely towards this side. I make alliances with people who can help me stay safe and that's awesome if they can make me feel. No one can make you stay safe and secure. Everything is coming and going. 10 minutes ago you might have felt this thing. Tonight, 9:10, you don't know what you're gonna feel or do or whatever, or stay as what. You might feel safe now in half an hour when a truck drives by and it reminds you of this moment in your past when this and this and this and that happened. You might not feel safe and secure, so you can't stay safe and secure in that regard, but of course you can build certain integrity of fuck it. I don't make alliances in that regard, but yeah, you can help me stay. That like another question, I'm not seeking it out. And on the other hand, if I were to spend time with people and they don't make me feel like we're on the, it's hard to explain, but they don't need to help me do anything. They just need to respect and allow me as I am, and then I will naturally by myself feel safe and secure. I don't need anyone else to do that for me. I'm often looking ahead towards what is coming next. Yeah, that's very introverted intuition, I would say, and I relate a lot to that. That's how my mind easily wanders and see what's upcoming and how things can play out. And I have different interests, and yeah, I understand some are the traditional way of doing things. It's very different. It should be on another scale, but there are some things that are, using the internet, using YouTube, playing games sometimes, that's not different than the usual, than most people. Traditional way of doing things is the best way. So let me know, what is the traditional way? I'm a responsible and reliable person. Responsible, the real responsibility, 100%. The real but sometimes I still live out the so-called past conditioned self, which is not 100% responsible for every day, and realizing that this day might be the last thing we have, and greet every opportunity and moment and every human being that you meet with honor and respect and love. I'm not always 100% like that if I'm in my head or trying to solve my own things. That's not being responsible. Responsible is not, I'm paying my bills, I'm surviving. Is an ant responsible to you, or is it just doing the thing it does to survive? Reliable, absolutely, but not in the way of, okay, you can call me every 2 hours because you want to throw shit at me because you can't handle your own thought, feelings, and emotions. That's not reliable. I'm long-term reliable. You can rely on me for the real deals of life, but I'm not gonna do all this stuff for you because, I've failed at doing so in the past, and I learned the hard way that it's not my job to make other people happy, but if we can share our innate happiness and also the problems and things that comes up, I'm very reliable and true to what I love and value, and yeah. Responsible in the life responsible, yes. Society responsible, no. And when I say society responsible, I'm really very responsible there too, in the real regard. But if we say where the collective unconscious way of looking at what responsible is in a society, I'm not responsible. Of course, that's based on ignorance though, so I'm not really caring about that. I have a lot of plans for I don't have a lot of plans for it, but I know how ways that are improving naturally. You don't need to fight and do this and that and get better all the time. You're good enough as you are. I make sure that even small details are correct. Depends on if it's something I care for or not. I don't give a shit about details if it's not something that I don't care about, or if it's some insignificant thing. Can't come up with examples right now, but it depends. If it's something I do care about and it's important for me or the outcomes of other beings, very important, then I want to do it correct and state the truth and not miss out and use the wrong word. And I enjoy caring for others and their needs. I naturally am inclined to do so, but I'm not sure if I enjoy it. It depends on how it's not measured, what's given, almost given. But what's the reply from being there? Is it a I cannot not care for other people's needs, but and I do enjoy the empathy and feeling into others and such, but I don't want to be their savior or whatever. They have to be it themselves, which took a long time for me to understand and start living like it. Because I want to be a savior and help people so much in the past, and it wrecked me. Because people don't really care about themselves, and it's hard to. You can try to help someone as much as you want, but if they don't want to help themselves yet, they have not. For example, if they haven't suffered enough yet to reach such a realization where they fucking break, they're not going to be able to take and enjoy and appreciate your help truly. And learn this very hard way. I want to be a person that others can look up to. Probably both from a heart space. Is it true? Yes. Because there is a lot of yes, and there's also probably some ego in the other aspect of this, like when you look at the personal way of looking at it, beyond the heart is beyond the personal way of looking at it. So I think people need some fucking inspiration and light and someone being themselves and sharing important things that can actually, and holding space for us. So yes, I probably naturally heard many times that they do look up to me and inspiring them and such, and I love that, but I don't, once again, like another question, I don't want to be, but if I am, it's very appreciated, because it makes, if my presence makes other life experiences better, how can that be a bad thing? Well, of course, probably ways you can find that could be a bad thing, but depending on the context. Yeah, sure. Not in that. I know I push myself to succeed. Success is not measured on how you push yourself. Stop pushing yourself, people. If you're still listening, stop pushing yourself. You're good enough as you are. You're successful if you're happy with what you have and where you might be going, but success is not the end goal. Like, when I reach this, then I'm successful. When I have this car, when I have this amount of money. You're not going to be happy anyway with that. Trust me, if you're not happy with what you have right now and can be grateful for that, there's no way you're going to be happy when you succeed in the typical societal way of looking at success. You're not going to be happy when you get that either. You're going to enjoy it maybe for a couple of hours, couple of days, weeks, but the longing of the ego to experience more, to have more, to be more, it's gonna keep on going unless you can appreciate what you have now and really start feeling and enjoying life, not just pushing and hunting for this and that. You just take that with you from me if you're hearing this. I can promise you with my life and everything that I hold dear, which is the whole fucking world, success in the typical term will not make you happy. The real success is happiness, and it's innate, it's natural to you before the conditioning of becoming a person, and the sufferer and the thinker and the doer, the one who's trying to find his or her way back home. You're already home, so stop trying to push yourself. I'm tired of seeing that in the world. But if in regards of the way I look at success and pushing myself, it's not pushing. I'm intuitively guided to keep on the path I'm naturally intuitively on to succeed with ridding myself of ignorance, arrogance, pride, ego, bias, judgment. If that's sure, then it's high, but it's not in a. It's not in that sense, and this is gonna give me a higher score on 3, for example. I make important contributions to my... Let's see if it's still running, by the way. Yeah, it is. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm gonna have my sister having to cut my hair soon. It feels good, at least. I make important contributions to my community. I do, but not in the typical, stereotypical sense. I do it in a very much more important way than I would say most people do. If I had the... Fuck it. I rarely have strong emotions. What? I feel I never truly belong in social groups. Yes, in most social groups, absolutely. I want to learn as much if I can truly feel like I belong and that I am one with what is, if it's the right people, whatever right people is, but more conscious people who are not full of blindness. I want to learn as much as I can about how the world works. Yes, there we go. There's a number 5 question. It is important for me to understand what can go wrong in a situation. This is feels a bit like a 6th question too, but very much into intuition. It is important for me to understand. It seems like my mind thinks it's important, at least. I take steps to ensure, probably the identity, not the mind itself, it's just what it is. I take steps to ensure I don't feel sad or lonely. Well, I felt a lot of sadness and loneliness in my life, even though I had friends and family. But I'm not taking any steps or measurements or whatever to ensure I don't feel it. Trying new things keeps life interesting. Life is very interesting. You don't know, most people don't know what life is. They just know what the psychological process is and expect or misjudge that as being life. Life is the psychological process is what most people experience, and that is happening in the whole of life. So life is always interesting, it's always changing, it's always creating, but we're often too stuck in our heads to realize what is actually happening, what this life is. Life is interesting all the time, but in the typical sense of the word, yes. Trying new things, experimenting, adding on to, testing new spices, visiting new places, delving into new depths of experiences with others or self. Yes, sure. I'm an upbeat person. I'm very much an upbeat person sometimes, but I'm not I'm not a upbeat person 24/7. I'm very much upbeat in certain situations, and probably have the highest euphoria and stimulantia going on, and feeling very upbeat, and it drags other people with me up to the heavens, but not all the time. Can't sustain it physically, physical energy wise. I'm usually the one to take a stand when others won't. Yeah. Other people have stronger opinions than I do. They have might have opinions, and they might be strong emotionally, but they have weak arguments many a times, and they don't know what they're talking about most of the time either, because there's no insight. They're just biased and need to have something to say to defend themselves without any logic behind it at all, or emotional depth. Other people have strong, they don't. Especially not stronger arguments. Everyone has a role to play in society and a duty to do their best. I'm concerned with protecting what I have. Probably on an still unconscious ego level. But from my conscious experience of sharing this, I don't feel like I'm concerned with it. But protecting the body, protecting the health of this and that, and try to survive, protecting what I have in regards to people, of course, that is playing out. And I think I am a self-preservational, instinctual type of the three subtypes, or whatever you want to call it, in Enneagram. So self-preservational is, yeah. I have a good sense of what my future holds. No one does, so stop bullshitting yourself. But I can see possible how it's looking like a beautiful thing. And even if I were to die tomorrow, this life has been... I'm so thankful, and I'm not gonna play pretense like many people do. Like, this is gonna happen. I'm so optimistic because in a year I'm gonna start this and that. Good that you have dreams and everything, but you are perhaps, like most people, forgetting to live here and now as well, and that is ignorance. And then if you can't live here now, how can you sustain and know what's gonna happen in the future if you can't even be here now? I have a good sense of what my future holds. I'm an average person with ordinary likes, and absolutely not. I try new ways of doing things just to see if they will work. Yeah, but it doesn't say anything about how often or if it's... I do that, but... I have a great deal of... Oh yeah, I've probably not seen anything like it, but in some sense... no willpower to do certain things, but the willpower to... self-improvement is a major interest. It's not an interest. And I'm not trying to improve the self that you truly are. Here's the most important thing. Cannot be improved. You're already perfect. You're already whole. You're already healthy. You're not the body. You're not the mind. You're not any of that fucking bullshit. It's beautiful. It's a part of life, but it's not who you are. So you cannot improve that which is already perfect and already is. It is in this moment. What your mind has to say about it in regards of thoughts and identity, that's a different story. But if we go from the typical perspective of the person, the personality, it has been a huge interest and investment in my life. That to improve, to be better. So that's also, I would say, everyone aren't as consciously thinking that it's important to self-improve. Yeah, I know it's very typical for the NF types and others too, depending on the Enneagram and blah blah blah. Sometimes are almost obsessed with improving, and that really, in the same way of saying I want to improve this and that, and in 5 years I hope to be this and that, then I can feel this and that. There's a lot of conditions, and you have to improve. That also implies, I was gonna say another word there, but it implies that if you say that you need to improve, that you're not good at it, it implies that you're not good enough right now, that you basically in the core don't think that you're good enough as you are. So it's nice with improvement, but is it really necessary to love life and yourself for what it is? No, it's not. But in a typical regard of answering the question, let's give it something like this, maybe even here. It was a pretty cool test, lots of questions, and I think I'm gonna get a 4, but 2 might come up, I'm not sure. What is happening here? Achieve a higher level of self. People don't know what the self is. Your primary type is 4. In this section we will dive into to the 4 profile to understand how it drives your core emotions, fears, and desires. Unlock your full report. Just give us your money first. Unlock your full report to discover why being yourself is always enough. Let's see. Okay. This is not a surprise, but the 4 came up very strong, 99% match. 4s want to be unique and to live. And that's the thing too, when you really read into this stuff. It's not about wanting to be unique. 4s are innately unique in their expression. It's not that their ego is obsessed with, I want to be different. There's a part of it, of the ego, that is that way, but 4s that I've seen and heard and consumed, observed, they are different. It's not just an obsession. Authentically and high attuned to their emotions. Yes. I do think I'm a 4-wing 5 or a 5-wing 4, like I considered for 3 years, and that's what I'm resonating with. What did I have the lowest on? 9? I had lowest on 9, but then again, the way I answered, yeah. I do like 9s though, so maybe that's why I have that as a possible 3rd in my mind, but maybe it's a 4-5-2 that I am. What do you think? But I also think 5-4-2. I think like this, guys. It's either as a tri-type 4-5-2, 5-4-2. Even though the percentage on this particular test is higher than the 5, there's no way I'm a 2. Perhaps a very, very introverted 2, because I do think of people and this and that many times, and I have intense empathy. But I'm mainly in these 2 modes, whatever. And this. I don't relate a lot to. Oh, why is the 1 here? It's the 2, 4, 5, 9, and 7 that I feel close to me, and also I love 7s and 9s. One of my best friends is a 7, and one of the best people I ever met is a 9, and probably another of my best friends is a 9 too. He might be a 1 first, but I think he's a 9 as well. So that was what makes you unique. Your top 3 personality superpowers. Individualism without an I before. That's nice. Unlock your full. Okay, so you can go full payout here and give them your cash if you want to. Blow your information. Top 3 traits. That would be interesting to see, but it's probably creativity, depth of emotion and insight and of the world and the human condition. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and say what they're gonna say, because they're probably gonna be shallow and dry, as most people are. So they might not go into that kind of stuff. But I think it was a good test. Enough questions. Not too many absolutely idiotic questions. So it made sense. 5, seek understanding and knowledge. This is like. But the understanding as an INFJ who has extroverted feeling, I'm interested in the data that is data information of people. I'm not an INTJ is interested in the rationale and the data and the processes of technological or ways to do how to do things. I'm interested in the people. So those are the most, and I feel a strong 7 in my enthusiasm. So I think I'm the most enthusiastic person when I'm hanging with people. Most of the time, not always, of course. I'm very enthusiastic about both the trying out experiences, hearing about others' feelings and emotions and experiences, and sharing it with others, and also go into the mental, emotional, and experiential realms. I'm enthusiastic about many things, and the sensory enthusiasm as well, about music and the sensory experiences, and yeah. I liked the test. It was fun. 1 hour and 14 minutes. Holy shit, I can talk, man. And I was probably could sit 3 hours if I want to do this fully authentically and go all the way through with it. But I hope this makes sense to some people and that it might help you give some insight, or maybe you relate to some of my stuff and my thought processes. I just want to be one of few people in my understanding and what I've seen that really doesn't just do it the surface level, but shares the thought processes and feelings and experiences, not just, yeah, you know, most YouTubers are what they are, and that's fine too. I just want to bring another, I feel like, well, now I'm sorry to sound very much like a four here. Another perspective, another nuance, that it's not just black and white, and it's every video doesn't have to be 5 minutes long, everything is clipped and polished, and the person trying to be perfect, and I want to share the raw experience, so that's why I do unclipped stuff. I just rant my mind away and let you see that, and if people can find something in that, that's the whole point of doing this. And also it's fun to express myself and see what's coming out for me too, but it's for the benefit of all dreamers who are still waking up. Anyway, that was a quote. Can't remember who said it anymore, but it just came to my mind. Anyway, it was a fun one. Let me know what your Enneagram type is, and also let me know what you think I am, if the test was correct, like a 4 to 5 was the highest, those three, I think, something like that. Let me know, and if you have some other tests you want me to do, or some recommendation, or some fun stuff to share, to explore, I'm totally open for that. And I also want to give a little shout out to a Swedish friend who's called Mia, and I'm gonna get back to you soon. I've been pretty introverted lately, but I'm gonna answer the email soon, and it's gonna be fun talking to you. Anyway, everyone, take care. I love you. Thank you for being here, and not much coming to mind right now. Have a good one.